What's good, YouTube? So, as some of my older subscribers know, a big part of what I do here on YouTube is debunking bullshit in the fitness and martial arts communities. Now, when it comes to the topic of chi and supernatural abilities in martial arts, one video which gets presented to me, probably more than anything else, is the video of a guy chopping a BB in half with a katana.
Oh, you can see the piece go one way and the other one go that way. Oh, that was amazing.
Now, as far as I'm aware, the guy who does this, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name because I'll horribly butcher it. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't pretend to have any supernatural abilities or anything like that. And he is genuinely skilled. He holds multiple world records. And yeah, he is genuinely very, very skilled. So I don't take any issue with the man himself. Who I'm taking issue with is his gullible, mostly Western fan base, and the documentaries which pretend he has this ridiculous supernatural ability. So I'll be breaking down exactly how it's possible to do what he does. I'll be looking at power, speed and reflexes, accuracy, and I'll also be responding to some of the dumb claims made about him by other people. So now I'm going to demonstrate that you don't need any power at all to chop through a BB. This is a very blunt sword being fired at from a BB gun with very, very low power. So you should see it come in, and there you go, cuts it cleanly in half. And I do the same thing again. This is a bit faster and a bit harder to see, but you should be able to see a little bit of BB fly off to the right and the other side fly off up and over to the left. And so, as you can see, that's a very, very cheap BB gun. In fact, I bought it precisely because it was cheap and because it was extremely weak. And for using in this sort of experiment and similar sorts of things. This sword, it is a very nice sword, however, it's not sharp at all. It hasn't been sharpened. That really should be cutting a lot better than that. So you can see it's a pretty dull blade. So as for timing and reflexes, they're good. I'd hardly call them superhuman though. They're about what you'd expect from somebody who plays baseball. So the gun's being fired at him from 70 feet with a muzzle velocity of about 200 miles an hour. Now, basing that off a 0.2 gram BB, that gives you a muzzle velocity of 0.8 joules, and that's rounded up as well. And if we actually look at data collected by BB manufacturers, they show that that will give you an air time of approximately 0.4 seconds. Of course, the BB decelerates very, very rapidly. So 0.4 seconds, maybe a tiny bit more. That is far from superhuman reflexes. And all he has to do is get the edge of the blade to touch the BB. And you may be thinking, well, look at the speed it's going, 200 miles an hour. So if that's travelling 5 feet, that's a 40th of a second he has to react it. He has to get his timing to within. And that's simply not true. You're looking at it the wrong way if you're looking at it like that. You have to look at the length and time of the swing of the sword rather than how long it takes the BB to go past. Because if this is the sword here, he can hit it anywhere from there to there. So as long as he's got that motion at the same time the BB's going past, provided he keeps the blade nice and flat, which he does, and he's accurate enough, he should manage to hit the BB. As for accuracy, I decided to rig up a little test myself. Now, this test's far from perfect. I'd have loved to just try and replicate the chopping a BB in half, but unfortunately I don't have a 70-foot range or a superpowered BB gun in order to do that, so I just decided to see how accurately I could hit a piece of card. Also, I only have this one-handed sword, and I'm holding it sort of as if it's a two-handed sword to make it closer to how a katana's going to be. So again, very far from a perfect test, but you should be able to see how accurately I can do here. I've had no practice at all with this kind of thing. Usually with what I do, all I have to do is be accurate enough to hit something like an arm or a leg or a head, and this is of course very, very different. So let's see how I do. So these are the results. So a couple of really bad ones. That one was over 3 centimeters off. I had one just over 2 centimeters off at the top, another one on that side, but most of them are well within 2 centimeters, and I managed to get one smack bang in the middle there. And of course that's with 0 practice. I'm sure if I practiced that for an hour every day, I'd be able to quite consistently get it within the 6mm margin, which is the size of a standard BB. So hopefully I've demonstrated that in terms of power, speed, timing, reflexes and accuracy, chopping a BB in half in midair is within the realm of human ability with practice. The most impressive part is the accuracy. Hitting to within 6mm is very impressive, but even as a complete beginner I was able to do that 1 out of 8 times, so I'm sure if pretty much anyone practiced for an hour a day for a few weeks or a few months, they'd be able to hit a target that size with pretty good consistency. So yeah, that leads me on to something else. Could this be applicable to historical swordsmanship? You know, is that level of speed and accuracy important? And I'm going to answer yes, but not in the way the documentary makes out. So of course chopping a bullet in half with a katana is absolutely stupid. If it's already off to the side, even if it's already missed, what's the point? You're just creating 2 bullets then, which are just doubling the chance of one of them hitting one of your mates, and you're risking chipping your sword. But that being said, that level of accuracy could be very important, and when it comes to armoured fighting, you are facing moving targets, you are trying to get your sword to within very small gaps in order to hit them. Some of those gaps could well be less than a centimetre, and I'm sure having that level of accuracy could transfer over to that quite well. So with that all out the way, let's respond to some of the stupid things said during the documentary.
Not only is the pellet tiny, over 4,000 times smaller than a baseball.
So he's saying 4,000 times smaller than a baseball to make it sound far more impressive than it actually is. It's not 4,000 times more difficult to hit than a baseball. The depth of it really doesn't matter. How wide it is really doesn't matter. When it comes to actually hitting it, how tall it is the only factor which matters. So you look at the diameter, and it's 1/15 of that of a baseball. So nowhere near as impressive as he's making out there.
But when it leaves the barrel of the BB gun, it's traveling over 200 miles per hour. A normal person would have no chance of seeing the pellet.
So another thing which is relevant when it comes to the size of the BB is its cross-sectional area, or how big it appears to be on your eyes, how much surface area of retina is going to be able to sense it. And that's about a 225th that of a baseball. So yeah, they are hard to see, but it's a long way off that 4,000 figure which the presenter gave. But anyone who's done airsoft will be able to attest to the fact that you absolutely can see BBs coming towards you in the right conditions. You know, when you've got nice lighting from 70 feet with a nice steady hand firing the gun, and you're nice and prepared, yeah, you absolutely can see those BBs heading towards you.
And helping me is Dr. Ramani Durvasula.
So from what I can gather, this doctor's a psychologist. She seems to specialise in weight loss and sexual health and that kind of thing, and I'm sure she's absolutely great at what she does. But her doctorate has nothing to do with martial arts, sports performance, reflexes, sensory ability, BB guns, ballistics, physics, or anything to do with what this guy does whatsoever. So it's very misleading for the documentary makers to imply that she's a doctor and therefore an expert on this subject.
But how does Dr. Ramani explain what she's just witnessed?
This is about processing at an entirely different sensory level, because he's not visually processing. This is This is a different level of anticipatory processing, something so procedural, something so fluid for him.
This is complete gibberish coming out of her mouth. She has no idea what she's talking about. This isn't an insult towards her, really. She's been invited along and she's been shown this thing. She has a microphone shoved in her face and they're asking her what her opinion is. But she has no idea about the subject matter, and it's the producers of this show which are presenting her as an expert. She's not saying, I know everything because I'm a bloody doctor. This would be like having a juggler presented as an entertainment expert and then shoving a microphone in their face after they've just seen a magic trick and asking them how the trick's been done. Of course, what they're gonna say is gonna be absolute nonsense.
A normal person would take 3/10 of a second just to register the sound of the gun being fired before they can even start to think about reacting. By the time they move the sword into position, the pellet would have traveled past them.
Now, this simply isn't true. They seem to have taken the average visual reaction time of 0.25 seconds and rounded that up to 0.3. That's a pretty big rounding in and of itself. But when it comes to auditory reaction time, we actually react substantially quicker than that, some studies putting the average at about 0.17 seconds. When you're talking about a physically active young man, however, it's going to be even quicker than that. So they've pretty much doubled the actual reaction time. And using realistic figures, that gives him about 1/3 of a second to get the sword into position. So in summary, he's got good eyesight, he's got good reaction time, and he's got superb accuracy. And put all those together with an interesting idea, and you've got a really nice looking parlour trick. But he ain't ready to join the X-Men just yet. So thanks for watching, comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.